And I told her I didn't support it, but I'm here for you. Like I have no say in this. My opinion on this. I don't support this. And she went in. They put her through a psych val, like an interview, and she came out crying. And that was honestly one of the happiest days of my life, other than the fact that my two kids were born afterwards. But
well, that's the thing. They say this. Do you know how many women I know have had abortions? And I don't judge them. I mean, it is, you did what you did. I have a stance on the issue, but I don't judge people individually.
Yeah, I'm not gonna hate you.
I'm the one at 2:00 in the morning or 3:00 in the morning getting a phone call from somebody who's crying their eyes out because they did something. By the way, I was not the father. That had nothing to do with me. They just call me because
95% of women who have abortions do not regret them.
I mean, sure, but I would imagine they don't poll every single person, so that's just like a general stat, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't care,
and I am actually providing data. Like this is an actual study.
That's fine.
It was published by the UCSF. So
here's the problem with data.
I hear a lot of anecdotal stories here.
Well, actually, go to the World Health Organization and look at their study on a much broader spectrum, in pertinence to the United States. And I can tell you, if that's crazy, you can call it anecdotal, but I know probably upwards of 24 women that have had abortions, and I only know 2 that are okay with it, that aren't suffering from depression, that aren't looking at their kids' mouth and loving them.
Anecdotal. Like if we are going to analyze data and look at, because you can just say things.
You're looking at one
say things, and I really have like no recourse to prove that what you are saying.
Which study are you citing?
It's from the UCSF, University of San Francisco, and it is based on data related from the turnaways. Yeah, I mean.
So, and how many women did they examine? How many participants were in this?
UCSF.org.edu. I'm sorry.
What was the size of the trial? How long was the trial?
It was 1,000 women over a 5-year period. They were interviewed after 5 years, asking if they would if they regret their abortion.
Were they more liberal or conservative?
I don't know.
How many more women?
Well, because the reason why I asked that, because in the liberal mindset,
why don't you guys go look at the study? If you would like you can look up the Turnaway study. It's a very popular study that talks about people over the course of time being turned away from abortion services and how difficult it was for certain people to actually get abortion services. So it is a very comprehensive study.
That's fine.
No one cares about you, Tommy, my dude.
It's my dude.
Get my dude out of here,
bro.
My dude blocks us on his account and comes in ours. Get him out of here. My dude blocks people on his account, but then comes in ours. Get out of here, my dude.
Yeah, I just block him because he just wants to be heard, makes his statement, and then if someone ever tries to object, he just fucking tries to pull some gotcha moment and then block him.
No, he blocked me many times. Fuck him.
I just don't, when people like that jump in, I don't try to do the insult game. I just get them the fuck out because I just don't, they're not real content creators. They're just kind of like these weird clout people.
Yeah, my dude has blocked me.
So here's the thing. The reason why I asked about like kind of their mindsets, because your perception has a lot to do with how you're going to regret or not regret. So in some of the people I've dealt with, I'm not going to make a data analysis and say there's a study to back my claims, but there are people, and it is anecdotal, there are people that I've met that have the more liberal mindset that think that abortion is liberating for women. So in their eyes, they're not going to regret it because they made the right choice. That's why, like, we can use data all we want.
What is a compilation of data? What is data? It's a compilation of anecdotal evidence, correct?
Well, no, because anecdotal evidence is your own personal experience. The data is obviously taking in, surveys, but it's not someone's own personal experience of what they're hearing directly.
Is it nationwide, by the way? And if it's California, would you admit that California is a
1,000 people?
Guys, if you want to go look at the study.
No, ma'am. You came in here.
If we look at these 1,000
you came in with
95% of them disagreed. Wait. I'm just trying to, like 950 of them do not regret their abortion. And it's funny to me how you guys are asking me to provide you with all of this information so that you can tear the study apart, rather than actually going and looking at the study and coming to your own conclusion. Then go look at the study, come to your own conclusion, and come back to me.
I'm on a look
in a liberal state.
Kenzie,
Yeah.
we're not like on a podcast where we all have laptops right here. Like, obviously, you can see Poppy standing in his vehicle, so I'd imagine he only has a phone. I'm on
tell
my
me why
phone.
is
I
that
can't
is your
scroll.
strategy?
Hold on. I can't scroll out of TikTok and look up the study, so I have to
Well,
rely
I just
on
gave
you
you one
and
to
your
look at the
analysis
World
of
Health
the study.
Organization because I've already researched these. But
What
you're providing a
specifically in
study from a
regards to the
liberal
World Health
institution,
Organization?
and you're not offering any demographical background on the case study. We are asking you that it's either legitimizing or
Well, it's
delegitimizing your
like
source.
why
If I
why
say
do I
Fox
have to
News
teach
said,
you
you
about
said
the
that's
study?
horseshit. It's
If you
biased.
have this opinion, why don't you know about the study?
One, is it my responsibility to know every single study that's done on it? Is that my profession?
Well, I would think
It's
if
not
you
my
have this
job.
opinion that you would have based it on some kind of concrete
And I
evidence.
do, and I just
So if
I just
you
cited you a
just
source,
saying the World Health
which is a lot more
Organization
credible
is
than
not
Elixir
providing a
University.
source. Provide me the study.
The study. All right, you know what? That's fine. You can go on the World Health Organization and find it, but just like you're telling me to go read this shit, you provided this
I
information.
provided you
And the
the
World Health
specific
Organization,
study.
by the way, is a lot more credible of an institution than a liberal university. So we have every right to question ideas and
your
resources.
ground.
Ask,
I'm
what's
not
the
saying you
demographic
don't.
background?
I'm not saying
You
you
are.
don't.
You just
I'm
told us to
saying
go read it like I got enough
No,
fucking
I'm
Well, hold
saying
on.
you are expecting
Kenzie,
me
Kenzie,
to provide
Kenzie.
you with all the information
Kenzie,
rather
I
than
have a
actually
question.
going looking at the study
Kenzie.
with any kind of
Because you're
methodology behind
challenging
it.
us and bringing a point.
Well,
We can.
are there
question.
Kenzie, are there multiple studies, or is this just the one that you're like based? Is there like multiple with the same conclusion? Because you do
Not one
understand
that was
the
done
study.
as well, because this was done over a 5-year period. If you would like me to give you the demographics, sure. But let me just ask, are you asking me all this because you find the information that I am giving not credible?
No, what
I'm
I'm
not saying
doing,
it's not
one,
credible. I'm saying
we
that
can-
if you're going
Great.
to bring in, I can find a study to back any political belief or ideology. Sorry, any belief that I have. I can find a study that'll justify it. What I'm asking you is
Well, when it
multiple
comes to
studies.
presenting our beliefs, all I've heard from you guys is anecdotal evidence. I haven't heard of studies.
I mean, well, you can just when I said
Would
1
you
in
like
4
to
women
go
are
to another
coerced.
talking point?
What?
Well, man,
What-
Would you like to go to
let me
another
say this,
talking point?
Kenzie. Let me
Sure.
say this.
Go ahead.
The
Yeah.
reason we asked that question, or I asked that question, is because I'll put it in accordance to like a diet, right? If I come up with this diet plan and I take 100 morbidly obese individuals and introduce just a minor increase in activity and some healthier choices in food, they will have experienced significant weight loss at a massive percentile. But I
My dude's
purposely
back in.
picked people who were going to lose weight for sure with some minor tweaks to make my point. So what I'm asking on the demographic side is did they do a survey of whether they were pro-choice or pro-life prior to? Because if I tested 1,000 women who were
You think
pro-choice,
pro-life women have abortions?
what I'm saying, they're actually, yes, I do.
Yeah, they
I
do.
know some that have. I know some that are pro-choice or pro-life now because they regret the decision they made before, and they have fought now because what their big thing is that they say that there is all this stuff on that it's women's rights and you can do this and you can do this, but there's nothing about the mental toll.
What does
the
a
depression
political
that-
affiliation have anything to do with someone's feeling
It's not
about an
political at all
experience they
because this
had?
person, these people who are pro-life typically are conservative. This has
No,
nothing to do
I'm
with
asking you a question.
political
Can you
affiliation.
tell me how someone's
Have you
political
looked up any other-
affiliation?
Go ahead.
What was your what was your study titled?
He's gonna look
It's
it up.
from the ucsf.edu.
Mm-hmm.
And the
What's
data
it-
was
what's it
analyzed.
concerning?
There are
analyzed.
pro-life women who are not conservative.
Hey, Kenzie, what's it,
Okay,
what was the
these are
study?
not
What was the
these are
study
not
titled?
my talking points. These are not my talking points. Let me go back to my computer. I'm sorry,
Well,
1 second.
well,
Let me just turn my TV
yeah.
down. I
You don't-
left
you don't
it in
remember-
just
you don't
because there
remember
was
the
a lot
title
of
then?
background noise. I do. I have it bookmarked. I just want to make sure I give it to you accurately because
In
I
the
know
comments,
if I don't, it's
that's
going
my
to be an
point.
issue
She's
for you
saying,
guys.
what is political affiliation? And I'm saying there are pro-life women who
Okay,
are
I
not
found it.
conservative. So it has no
5 years
political
after
affiliation.
abortion, nearly all women say it was not the right decision.
I'm sorry,
Study done in
one-
January 2020.
I think it was published.
Yeah, it's published in January 2020.
I just
Well,
don't
I'm
think.
sorry. Yeah, I think you found it. 1 second. I'm listening.
No one's afraid of Tommy. Tommy blocked
I just
us.
don't think people. I don't think people understand surveys. So like, there's a reason why Facebook and all these social medias track like your personal information, right? And they even on Facebook, you can look up what political structure they think you're under. right? So they sell this data to companies, and companies can buy that information. So data can easily be manipulated in the sense where they'll survey a group of people that are in a political stance. So when we say it's not your talking point, I'm just telling you right now, that's how companies can manipulate data. That's how it works. They use this data for all kinds of things, especially surveys. I'm not a fan of
these are not companies. It was not a company.
Well, no,
and it's funny to me how I bring up a study. Wait. It's funny to me that I bring up a study and that I actually bring some data and evidence, and you guys all question me. Yet you all are on here doing anecdotal evidence, and you don't push back.
Go look up the World Health Organization study done in 2018. Go look it up. Because it was over a longer period of time, and I guarantee you a much broader demographic of women.
It's
what is the age group of those women? Considering that the vast majority of abortions in this country are done between the ages of 17 and 24 years old. What are the demographics of these women that they're asking that question of?
If you come in and
I'd
say,
be happy to go over that.
If you came in and said,
so I did find the study. Yep, you are correct, Mike. January 2020.
Yeah, I'm reading it right now.
It was in Social Science and Medicine.
Yeah, I got it.
It's just 95%. That's just a really high number.
The research analyzed data from the Turnaway study, a 5-year effort to understand the health and socioeconomic consequences for nearly 1,000 women who sought abortions in 21 states around the country.
How many women are in the country?
How many women get abortions in the country?
Yeah, how many women are in the country?
There's roughly between, I think this year there's just been or I think last year there was right around 800,000 abortions.
So what's that percentage?
So again, Mike has the study. I believe it's
1,000 people out of 800,000, and you're saying that 95%.
That is in 1 year. That was in 1 year last year, and yes, I'm saying this study followed 1,000 women in 21 states, which is typically the polling size or the group size that most studies are done.
What is 49.6% of 7.73 billion people?
That's in the world. Are we on a world statistic now?
Well, she said, what was the 5 years? You said something with this study with 5 years. What was that? Because you just said 1 year. So I'm just trying to clarify what you're saying.
A 5-year effort to understand. So the study was over 5 years. So 1,000 women who had abortions in 21 states, they asked them 5 years later.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Can we move on to another point? Mike has it up. I'm sure he'll read it and be very critical about it.
Unfortunately, it doesn't go into the breakdown of the analysis on how these women were chosen, what their demographics are, what their age are, what their reasonings for abortion was. So,
well, you're not told why you're having an abortion.
So I would need to look deeper into it. You know,
did you click the link that brought you to? Did you click the link that brought you to Social Science and Medicine? Because there's a PDF.
The other deal. Stop saying free my dude. My dude went out, attacked a Latina immigrant, and then accused her of not having cancer because his hairdresser friend said her hair.
Wow! When I click the PDF, there is age, there is race, there is education. There is anxiety, there is perceived community abortion stigma, there is perceived personal abortion stigma, there is gestation. There's a lot of data here.
But none of it has.
Honestly, Mike, I don't think you'll be able, you will have to go and take this data and analyze it.
Yeah, but it doesn't.
Because I just.
But here's the thing, and we can't really debate it at all because we have to go and look through like me personally, I can't read it. I'm on a phone, so I can't even look at it. I have to question you. So if you have a problem with your question, you want to hold on, but that makes sense, right? If it's TikTok, it's not everyone doesn't have a laptop.
What would you like me to highlight? What can I highlight to you?
Well,
that will give credit to the study. What can I highlight?
So
you essentially want me to teach you everything about the study because this is my point.
Yes,
is that you guys have this opinion. You guys have this opinion, and you don't
here's the problem.
have data to support your opinion.
Here's the problem. You can't just bring in an article or a study, read the title, give me a summary of it, and then just tell me to take that on face value.
I just read the description of it. It was published in Social Science and Medicine and uses data from the Turnaway study. I have given you specifics. If you have a conflicting study, I will be open to it.
Listen.
What is your conflicting study?
Mike, give her like 3 conflicting studies right now because you have a computer.
Great. I would love it.
I told you 2018 World Health Organization. You gave Mike
I know, I looked it up and I can't find shit.
And by the way, you didn't answer a simple question.
That's the problem. You can't. This is what I don't like because people just bring in a study and say, hey, this is my study. And here's the thing. if you bring in a study, I'm going to bring up, well, what are the variables? You know, you have to know those in detail to actually have a debate, because I'll take it at face value if you can give me that information. You know what I'm saying? Because in any study,
So
any
would you guys
survey,
like?
any
Do you guys
site,
like
hold on,
rooters?
hold on. I'm still talking. Hold on. I'll finish real quick and I'll have you
Great.
respond. So
That's what she
yeah,
said.
great. Don't interrupt. Yes, great. Parents teach us not to interrupt people, right? So the issue I have is if you were to be able to address the variables and tell me, hey, they addressed it right here, and this is what they found out of it, then I could work with your data. But if you're not giving me any information and all you want to look for, because you don't think I could find anything that would dispute that claim on a survey?
Correct.
You don't think there's any surveys out there that would dispute
Correct.
that?
Yeah. I'm gonna call your bluff on that. Please give me something. Do you guys like rooters? Is rooters a acceptable source for you?
So I just pulled up National Review, and it's covering your particular study, and the title of this article is "A Flawed Study Claims That Few Women Regret Abortion." This week, a new study was released which purports to show that few women regret their decision to obtain an abortion. The study was published in the academic journal Social Science and Medicine, and is the latest study to be released as part of the Turnaway Project, which compares a cohort of women who obtain abortions with a separate cohort of women who were unable to obtain abortions due to gestational age limits. The newest study based on that data has received a great deal of sympathetic coverage from a number of media outlets, including the Washington Post, The Hill, The Guardian, and CNN, but most of the coverage has paid little or no attention to the limitations of the research. For one thing, the Turnaway study is conducted by the group Advancing New Standards in Reproductive Health at the University of California, San Francisco, which typically produces research with a pro-abortion bias.
So yes, you can. Hold on. So you can provide me a critique. I know he's not done, but the point that I'm trying to make is that he can provide me a critique of the study. Fine. Provide me a counter study.
Well, keep reading the variables, because that's what I was questioning on. So I want to hear some of the variables.
I will concede. I will concede if you provide me a counter study.
But one second. From 2008 to 2010, Turnaway Project researchers sought participants at more than 30 abortion facilities located in 21 U.S. states and found 667 women who obtained abortions to participate. However, less than 38% of the women they asked actually agreed to take part in the study. It seems likely that the women who made themselves available for the study might have had either a higher level of decisional certainty or fewer moral qualms about obtaining an abortion, skewing the results. Additionally, the Turnaway study tracked study participants over a 5-year time period. Over time, a significant percentage of the women who originally agreed to participate either could no longer be contacted or refused to answer follow-up surveys. The new Social Science and Medicine article tries to downplay this fact, stating that 71% of the women completed an interview in the final 2 years of the study. However, a 2017 article in JAMA Psychiatry that used Turnaway study data indicated that only 58.4% of participants had responded to a survey 5 years after it began. This information further skews the results, as it is likely that women who disappeared from the survey were experiencing more psychological suffering than women who responded. Interestingly, another recent study adds to the body of research showing that some women do suffer psychologically after obtaining an abortion. Paul Solons at the Catholic University of America published an article last November in the Swiss journal Medicina. This study was unique because it was able to analyze results for women who obtained abortions of wanted pregnancies. Such abortions typically occur when the mother wants a child, but the
So this is from a Catholic organization?
Whoa, you can't, because you told us we couldn't.
You guys interrupt me all the time. Is he just going to come on here and read?
No, you said that we
talking
couldn't
about
question
interrupting.
your study.
Stop it.
You said we couldn't question
You
your
guys
study.
interrupt me all the time. Fine, I'll just sit here. Okay.
Oh wow,
Okay.
victim. Let's play a victim here. Come on.
Yeah.
I don't need to play a victim. I don't need to play a victim. I actually want to debate.
Then listen to what
You're playing it right now. Don't do that.
I am not playing a victim. How am I playing a victim by just not by actually questioning what he is saying as he is going? Are you just going to monologue so that I have to take down all these notes, and then when it is the woman's turn to speak, you guys can let me know?
Yes, we'll let you know when we allow you to speak.
Oh, the misogyny, great.
No, I'm just playing into your victimhood.
Let Mike provided an article with a counter study.
Oh, aren't you interrupting Mike?
So, Kenzie, the problem with your article is what Rick was originally saying. They took the data that they collected and manipulated it in a way to provide a narrative that fit their, their bias.
If you go to the study, there is a table.
I just told you
they give you the numbers.
I just told you that it was flawed.
71.
You gave me a website that said it was flawed. If you go to the table,
it was flawed based on National Review
data. They just said that.
Right, and look at what the National Review actually cited.
Only
and the National Review is an American conservative editorial magazine.
And what do you think?
Just because of your university
you guys just gave me shit for asking, like, what are the political affiliations of this women? And now that I say your critique is from a conservative publication, that's like, oh.
I asked, well, I mean, it is a factor to play into, right? It is a factor to play into. It's not a realm of full disregard. But the issue I was bringing up was, what was the political affiliation of the people who were surveyed? I was asking, what is their belief system? What is their structure? Because some people think abortion is a right. So there are some people that are going to have the perception.
Great. So by your own logic, the National Review would not be a good source.
I'm not saying there's a bad source or a good source. I'm just taking in the factor of the political structure of the people that were surveyed, right? That is a variable. I worked in science. I had a lab for 10 years. I had to deal with studies, right? And I can correlate this to, like, anything. Gas companies, they all pay for their own research to push their own agenda. Do not think that does not happen in abortion positive companies or schools, right? You understand that information and data can be manipulated. Surveys can be manipulated. If you don't believe that and you don't critique your own sources based off of that.
Great, then critique the source he just gave me.
Wait a minute. Can I just say that when we asked you a question,
wait, to combat a better analysis of it, if you want to go to the bottom and hit study design, you can see more about recruitment, and that they actually surveyed over 8,000 people.
Yeah, but
I would like to move on from the talking point.
Oh my God! It just stated women that weren't willing to comply, and just because they talked to them, they didn't have permission.
That is from the National Review, which I already said is a conservative editorial magazine focusing on news and commentary pieces.
Wait a minute. Is it fair to say that both of our my National Review and your study are both null and void because they have a political bias?
No, because your National Review is not a study. It is not a study.
No,
it is an opinion piece.
It proved your study was flawed.
It did not. It is an opinion piece.
I just broke it down.
It is not a study countering the data.
No,
it's an analyzation of your
study wrong.
You don't look.
No,
okay, Kenzie, I think this is where you're on a false premise, right? Because you don't have to have a study to prove something wrong.
Thank you for mansplaining.
You're welcome. I'll do more.
No.
So here's the issue. If you do a study, and this, honestly, I understand your thinking process because you did this in the beginning. When I asked about simple variables, you didn't want to talk about them. You know, there's a reason why studies.
I don't want to teach you about the study.
Why?
Ma'am,
no,
why would you?
This is a debate.
So hold on. So this is what you want. You want to bring in a study and then me take it at face value and just not question it, right? I just have to take it as a holy gospel.
No, I want you to bring up a study that
I got you a study right here.
You ready? What I'm saying.
You ready for the study?
Yes, I'm ready. I'm pumped.
HTTPS // thelifeinstitute.net. 96% of women who couldn't access abortion don't regret after 5 years.
Okay, but that's not the point that we're talking. We are talking about women who have abortions.
No, we're talking
not about women who don't have abortions, because that was the argument that you guys brought up, that women who have abortions regret it later on. So that is a completely different talking point. I'm sorry, was I just not talking?
They tried to have an abortion, but were unable to get one.
Right, but that's not.
Do not regret it.
That's not the point that we're bringing up. We are talking about women who have abortions regret them, not women who don't have abortions don't regret them.
Well, do you honestly, like, when you look at 95%?
Guys, I really want to move on because obviously, like,
what other topic up there do you want to discuss?
I'm fine doing any of them.
Affiliations.
Okay.
I said age group.
Pick one.
Wow.
Pick one, Kenzie.
So political.
Abortion's my best subject. If you want to go into transgenderism, I can do gun laws. I could do anything you got on there.
Pick one that you think that you might win because you already lost the first one.
I didn't
Hey,
lose.
people,
Sure.
people, look,
Abortion.
Kenzie, I can tell you how you lost. Kenzie,
I did not lose. You guys brought up a conservative article to debunk the study that I provided.
You brought up a liberal
It's
university.
not a liberal study, bro.
It is
university. If you would listen to a full context, you'd actually.
Mike just told you where they cited the people who led the study, who they worked for, which was a pro-choice organization.
From a conservative website.
So
I mean, is
your
it a
liberal
lie?
study
Is it a
and
lie?
my
though?
conservative website.
It's not a liberal study. Do you have the PDF?
It is a liberal study.
Do you have the PDF?
The people who headed the study work for a pro-choice organization. They belong
Who's the pro-choice organization?
Bias right fucking there.
Who's the pro-choice organization?
You cannot claim it.
Mike, when he was reading, if you would have shut up and listened to him read.
Who is the pro-choice organization?
While you're looking that up, Mike, you cannot claim a dub.
No, you said it was a pro-choice organization.
Yeah,
Now you're asking Mike to look it up. If you said that, I would think you would
I didn't
know.
say
already
that.
told you.
For one, I didn't say that. That was what he said, right?
Mike read it out loud, but you were too busy talking.
Guttmacher, Perspectives 50 / emotional and mental after abortion.
What? Guttmacher?
Guttmacher.org, Perspectives 50 / emotional and mental health after abortion.
I would just say you cannot take a dub if you were trying to run away from the topic. You're not in a winning.
I'm not trying to run
No,
away from
I don't
the
have
topic.
anger issues.
Well, I mean, you were. You were saying I want to move on from this topic.
You can look at this one.
I do
This
want to
one.
move on from the topic.
So then you cannot claim a dub. You cannot.
I'm
claim
not
a dub if we're
running
talking about
from
it.
it. So
Well,
I
are.
don't need to continue going around in circles with you guys.
I gave you a counter
Who bring
study.
up a no? You did
Call
not
it
give me a
debated.
counter study. You gave
just
me an
called-
irrelevant
Yes, I
study,
gave you.
and you gave
Analogy.
me an article. It's funny
hold
how
on.
you guys are so critical of
No,
the study
Kenzie,
that I
Kenzie,
bring
if
up,
you look up
but
this
you are
study,
not
it's from the
critical
Guttmacher
of the
Institute.
article that you
Dude,
bring
boot
up.
this chick. All I did was ask
If you want to take the dub
Kenzie,
to satisfy
you're
your
not
male ego,
listening.
fine.
I asked you
You
the
are
age.
not
No, I'm not.
listening. You are.
How is that?
hold
Wait,
on,
let her
hold
answer
on,
one
hold on.
question. One question. I asked you, what is the age demographic of the women? And you wouldn't answer. And you started going to
Here,
politicize.
I will answer it.
Did you look up the study I just gave you?
The Gutenberg one.
I can only I do have it up, but someone else asked me a question and was
Okay,
upset.
everyone asking for dude to
So
come.
age median years,
getting it.
not difficult was
25.
24.8, somewhat difficult was 25.4, and very difficult was 26. So the total average was 25.3.
That's the age. 25.3 is the age.
The mean, correct.
Okay, so
Yes.
why don't you look up the statistic of the largest demographic of women having abortions in this country, and it's 17 to 24. So their studies outside the majority of women who have abortions.
When was that
Did you ever think
statistic you're providing?
that younger women having abortions might have a different impact and feel on
You
regret?
don't have a correlation on that. And again, that was just a mean.
Kenzie.
That was just a
Well,
mean, meaning that a study could have included people 17
on.
to 24, but there were also
about
older
you
people
just
who were 35 to
look
40,
through the study I
which is
just
why
gave
they
you.
do a mean.
Look through the study
Just-
gave you. No, 17.
I'm sorry, you
to 24
guys,
is the demographic.
like, I hope you understand that I am trying to address each and every one of you, but when you both tell me to do two things at once, it is,
Go.
it,
Go
it
ahead.
doesn't work.
You didn't offer
so,
anything.
Okay,
one second,
okay.
one
Now I'm
second,
going
one
to
second.
Mike's point. That I'm going to Mike's
Just
point.
look at that study.
Which you said
Just
was, just to make
Look at
sure,
that
is the
study
goop
and save that
marker. Let
study.
me go back to
You can't
my.
refute it.
All right. Yeah, the goop marker, I feel that would be emotional and
Yeah.
mental health after abortion. That was a study from 1975.
Mm-hmm.
And this one also says about 1 week having an abortion. Feel regret, sadness, and anger. And felt more relief and
And then
happiness
keep
about
going.
abortion. Yeah, if you keep reading, what about 1 week after having an abortion, women in a 2008-2010 study felt more regret, sadness,
Go
and
lower.
anger about the pregnancy than about the abortion, and felt more relief and happiness about the abortion than about pregnancy. The likelihood of having a mainly negative emotional response to abortion increased with the extent to which women had planned the pregnancy and had made difficult making the abortion decision. That's a point for me. That's not a point for you.
By the way, man, I just want to ask you this now. When you look at anything, I don't know, are you college educated?
Yes.
Okay, so when you were going to school, when you were 16, 17, 18, 19 in college, did you know exactly what you wanted to do and you stayed with that one course of major the entire time in that degree program? Because I didn't. But to sit there and
No, but I had an abortion at 21 and I don't regret it.
wait, to
Well, that's
sit there.
cool. That's anecdotal, so it doesn't really matter, right?
Wait, yeah, but
Oh,
wait.
right. So that's my whole point. Everything you guys are saying, that was anecdotal. Doesn't
No,
matter.
but
What were
I'm
we saying?
You need to click
He
through
just
the
asked me
studies
for an
first.
anecdote, bro. He just
I
asked me
didn't
for an anecdote.
Kenzie, you need to click through
You
the
did.
studies.
No, I didn't. You didn't let me get to my point.
He didn't even
What I'm
finish.
saying-
I read your
Wait,
own
wait,
study,
wait.
Mike.
What I'm
Like,
saying-
You didn't read the
I read
study
it
at all.
aloud.
the largest
You didn't read
demographic.
the study at all.
Which
largest
one do you want me to click on?
The largest demographic of women having abortions in this country is younger than the ages you cited, meaning an older woman would probably have a little more come to terms with on her
Professor,
decision.
do you understand what a mean is?
Do I understand what a mean is? Again, you are
Yes.
taking the small group and an older group.
What is a mean?
Maturity level.
In math, what does mean mean?
So,
No, wait, I want him to answer this.
Wait, what?
no, Kenzie, you need to read my
What is a
studies
mean,
that I have.
Professor? I will. But he asked me a question, and now I want to address it. What is a mean, Professor? Or I'm sorry, what should I call you?
Up a mean.
Poppy?
You're
What does
asking
it
me a
mean?
question? I don't know what a math question is. No, I don't know.
So
You're
a
taking
mean is an
average age.
average. It is an average. So
It's
if we're going to look
I
at the
don't know why
study,
you're trying to
stop,
play some
stop.
type
Let
of
me
gotcha
explain.
moment.
Let me
So
explain. This is not a gotcha. This is showing him how his own logic, he doesn't get it. If you want to say, so the mean is the average. So it doesn't say that women who were 17 through 24 were not included in the study. They can be included in the study, and there can be women who are over the age of 25.
But you
So when they
cited
take the median average,
was 25.3 because you went from 24 to 26. You didn't cite a single person at the age of 24.
it is a mean, it is an average.
An average of 25.3 that you gave us, the numbers that you totaled this average in was 24 to 26.
Right. So if I have 3 people and one person is 15, or here we'll do easy math. If one person is 15, if one person is 30, and if one person is 45, what is the mean?
You said 15, 30, and 45
Yes.
would be 30.
Excellent. Does that mean that a 15-year-old and a 45-year-old were not polled?
No, but you cited the individual numbers.
Great.
You're giving me a 15-year-old.
No, I cited you the mean. I
You didn't
cited
give
you the
me a
mean.
15-year-old in your average. You gave me 24, 25.
You asked me the age, and it provides me the age in the mean years.
Did you read
Go ahead,
the
Mike.
studies?
No, wait a minute. No.
Which study
You
would you
cited
like? Which
multiple ages.
link would you like
The
me to
mean
click?
was
You need to
25.3.
read them all.
No, I can do basic
So you would
math.
like me to click the
It's not-
clinic-based sample study in 1975. You would like me to click the in a sample of teenagers from 85 to 86. And you would like me to click the 2008 to the 2010 study for the Turnaway project. And you want me to do a study of
So
Dutch
I
women.
already destroyed the study that you presented. So you need to come
You
back.
didn't.
and
You
get
brought me
better
a conservative.
educated
You brought me a conservative article. You didn't destroy
and you
it.
brought me a liberal study.
I didn't.
Dude, she cited a bunch of numbers and gave
No, I
me
wanted to, bro. I wanted
the
to.
average was 25.3. She never cited, she cited the ages. Am I correct? She cited more than one age, and then she gave the mean of that age group. She didn't cite anyone under the age of 24.
Well, maybe, Mike, did you see? Okay, so here's one of the questions I was going to ask: is when they asked for if they regretted, was that the end of the 5 years? Was that the
No.
only time they asked if they regretted it, or did they ask like afterwards every year or something,
Well, no.
something along those
Well,
lines?
some of the data they used, Mike repeated in there. It said that X amount of percent of the women conducted or asked if they regretted it within the final 2 years of the study, meaning between this point and that point, it wasn't even all done at the same time.
Well, I just don't understand how you're going to rely on regret 5 years later, because you can regret something in the beginning, right? With let's say, 6 months to a year, you could regret having that abortion, but you could also move through regret and accept your decisions, right?
Yeah,
so I
or
don't
you
get that
also-
whole analogy of saying, well, 5 years later, they didn't regret it. Well, maybe they went to therapy and we're told that, their decision was the right decision and worked through that regret. So I just don't understand really that whole premise of regret. And if they're not polling people or asking that question right after they had an abortion, then is it even relevant? Because how long does regret last?
to
Like, is
ask
there a
if she,
poll? Is there a survey or a poll or a study on how long you will be regretful, and then when can you move past that
So
regret?
if you go into the study, it has the graphs based on sadness, guilt, relief, regret, anger, happiness.
Yeah.
They all start, and it goes from 0 to 5 years. It does this.
Thank you. Do it
not,
again. Do it again.
not only that, yeah, it goes down. Not only
So,
that,
so they regret. So they
but let's
regretted
say
it at first, but over time they moved their regret, right?
yes. But
Mm-hmm.
let's also say that,
See, that doesn't make any sense to me. Why you would even use that for anything?
and
Why?
T-Rick, let me ask you this. If they, so let's say they asked them at 5 years if they regretted it, and they said no. Well, at 7 years, they had a child, and they look at that child, and they love that child to death and realize they could have had two, and now they regret it. Regret
Yeah.
something that
Facts. Well,
changed with time.
I think that's 100%. Like, I'll bring in something anecdotal, like the my ex girlfriend that had an abortion. Like, I haven't talked to. I mean, we were together afterwards, but it literally dismissed. Like, she went through a mental fucking breakdown afterwards. So she 100%. And I know it's anecdotal, right? But then we split up. Years we'd like see each other downtown, just like cordial, right? I have a new lady, had 2 kids. I got on an abortion talk on Facebook, right? And she just went crazy on Facebook, like saying all kinds of just weird shit, right? So anyway, she messaged me and was like, you know what, I can't even have kids after that. I hope you're happy with your 2 new kids. Like, I regret it 100%. And it is anecdotal, but it's like, for one, people are not going to have, like, she could be an outlier. Sorry. She could be an outlier where it's years later she causes more regret, which is kind of pertaining to what you say, right? Because this is when, think about it, I'm 32. This conversation happened maybe 2 years ago at the most, right? I was 18 when we had that abortion. We're talking 10 plus years after the case. So a 5-year regret, like, I don't know. The whole basis of it, you could regret it at first, but then work through your regret it doesn't hold any value to me. Like, to a point, I don't really care if you're seeing if people.
So even in the beginning part of the discussion piece of this study, in this 5-year longitudinal study of 667 women having abortions across 21 states, the presence and intensity of all emotions felt about the abortion, both positive and negative, declined with time.
Wait a second,
Yeah.
Mike. Let me ask you this: why did she sit here and say it was out of 1,000 women, and you're saying it was out of 600 and something, 671? She said
And
it was 1,000 women. Out of 800,000, 1,000 women. One speaks for 800,000. Two.
That's because less than 60% or around 60% answered back.
Yeah. So only 60% of the women answered back. That would mean that how many?
That would
didn't
raise
answer back?
that would
Which
raise the
mean
average decision.
maybe those people could have regretted it. They couldn't even keep all their study people in
Sorry,
the
Kenzie, you're not coming back in. You're not educated enough.
Yeah.
Well, I just don't. For one, if you
to understand abortion, and you cited a bunch of numbers, and they were all over the age of 24, and then gave me an average of those numbers. I'm not stupid. If you just said